once you've got it in the Constitution, the voice will do whatever the voice will get away with, let's be honest, and it is only if it is challenged and that presumption of scope is tested in the High Court that it will get limited or perhaps even conferred as being appropriate. That's the decision the court will make. Now, the issue there, of course, is a government, presumably, has to then take the voice to court. I can't see Labor ever challenging if they think the voice has gone too far.
Look, I think you're right, Peter. Look, I must admit, I come to this part of the debate more in sorrow than in anger. I'm very, very sorry that the debate is, there are specific facts that should be out there on the table and explained. We've also got continuing abuse by the Yes case of proponents like Greg Craven, who have now pointed to problems with this. I think this is the wrong way to go about this debate. It's been covered in secrecy right from before Gama. There's been no convention, there's been no input from the general community. I think the coming parliamentary inquiry, with the greatest respect to members of Parliament, I think it will fall short. This Constitution is owned by the community. It's not the property of members of Parliament, and to limit the involvement of the community in a major change to the Constitution, I find it unforgivable.
What about the legal advice, Keith Woolahan? Solicitor General consulted. We haven't seen the legal advice. The government says they won't release it. We know obviously there was toing and froing with the Attorney General. You look at legislation every single day you're in the Parliament. There's plenty of material that sits behind it. There's pages and pages. There's an explanatory memorandum. There's committee reports. This seems to me to be very light on detail.
It does, and that's why I fully support the approach by Peter Dutton. And there was a lot of pressure on him to form a view quite early, but Peter was quite rightly asking for detail throughout the process because it matters. And let me give you an example, Peter, of the inconsistency in the answers to those questions. In the Karma-Langton report, which we were all told had the detail, it says that non-justiciability, meaning you shouldn't and can't go to court, is an essential feature and should be an essential feature. And then Professor Langton, weeks later, said that to have that view reeks of subconscious racism. So when we ask questions and they either don't give an answer or the answer changes, there's real questions that have to be explored in this committee. And full disclosure, I've been appointed to that committee. And it's not ideal. I wish there was a proper constitutional convention, but we have to make the most of it, and we have to use that time to put these questions to the experts, because Australians deserve that detail if they're going to make an informed view.
I'll get a comment from both of you on Lorraine Finlay's comments. She's our Human Rights Commissioner. She said she's concerned. She says this inserts race into the Australian Constitution in a way that undermines the foundational human rights principles of equality and non-discrimination. Keith, I mean, this is the dividing line for me from the outset. I can't support the voice on principle, very much like Lorraine Finlay.
Principle is quite a simple argument. You either believe in equality of citizenship or you don't. The separate issue which the committee will focus on is constitutional risk, and that involves a lot more questions and detail. But Lorraine hit the nail on the head in terms of principle.
And Chris, of course, we've got obligations on a whole raft of international treaties, don't we?
And the one that counts was not properly considered in the material that was tabled in Parliament today. I'm talking about Article 1.4 of the Convention for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination. That makes the point that you can make temporary mechanisms that advance people of a particular race, but they must be temporary and they must come to an end when a particular goal has been reached. That means putting it in the Constitution and making it permanent will place this country in breach of a convention that it ratified in 1975.